FIFA have released nominees for their team of the year. Gab, 29,000 professional footballers vote on this.
And you know what I realized? 29,000 professional footballers,
Is a lot.
and they're like people on the internet. They're like fanboys on the internet. When I look at this list, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, this team's going to be picked by this. So according to the rules that they have here, and look, I'm not making fun of FIFA. I don't know how you would make better rules. You get to pick one keeper, 3 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards, plus the highest vote getter among outfield players. Shall we do this? Shall we pick? Goalkeepers are Courtois, Ederson, and Emi Martinez. Now, given Courtois has been injured for 6 months, I'm going to pick Emi Martinez, even though I don't like Dibu. Who would you pick?
Yeah, go for Dibu. Yeah, okay. I don't like.
You want to guarantee that they're going to pick Ederson or Courtois and they won't pick Dibu?
But it's just players, so players know.
Oh yeah, players know. Defenders: Ruben Diaz, Virgil van Dijk, Eder Militao, another guy who's played for 6 months, but who cares? Antonio Rudiger, John Stones, another guy with injury issues, and Kyle Walker. Stones who played in midfield a lot too, by the way, but whatever. Who do you pick
so
here?
This is for the whole calendar year, yeah? 2023 calendar year.
Yes, this includes the World Cup. This is like that.
No, the World Cup finished in 2022, so that's not the World Cup, right?
No, it includes the World Cup. Believe me, it's a wacky thing.
I don't know.
Come on, you got to pick 3 guys out of this mess.
So 3, Van Dijk, Ruben Diaz.
And Kyle Walker?
Yeah, I like Kyle Walker.
Sure.
Let's go.
Your midfielders are Jude Bellingham, Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, another guy who's pulling up trees now.
So 3 again,
Luka Modric, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, and Valverde. Let's make it easy. We both agree on Rodri. We both agree on Bellingham.
Yeah.
We need to have number 3.
Yeah.
It's pretty rubbish, isn't it?
For Bernardo Silva or Gundogan.
Gundogan for last season? Sure, okay.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva.
And your forwards are Karim Benzema.
Karim the Dream every day.
Just stop it. Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, Mbappe, Messi, Cristiano, and Vini. At least this one's interesting.
Yeah.
Can we all agree on Erling Haaland and Harry Kane?
Yeah. And then Kylian Mbappe. There's no way Kylian Mbappe cannot be in these top 3.
Ooh, okay.
So here we
and then you got one wild card, highest vote getter. Who you go for?
Lionel Messi, and that's it.
What about Cristiano?
I've done your list. I'm not even a player.
Vini? No?
I've done your list. Here you go.
All right, there you go.
Thank you very much.
FIFA, you can thank him.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to talk about stuff that I don't follow anywhere near as closely, but FIFA also have a women's
They do, Gab.
nominee list.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is all World Cup based because I genuinely
It would be mostly, yeah.
Yeah, because I this is something I've experienced. I don't know how many even professionals over here, professional women footballers, stay up late to watch the NWSL or vice versa.
No, I think they do. There's pretty good following.
I know Sophie
usually.
Lawson does, but
yeah, but I mean, I can tell you the goalkeeper will be Mari Earps. Then the 3 defenders will be heavily, I think, Spanish, because I could easily see Olga, of course, and Paredes. And then the third one might not be Maria Leon because she was not at the World Cup, but you can go for Greenwood or Ilestedt or somebody like that. Your 3 midfielders, Aitana, of course. I think Kira Walsh is pretty obvious too. And then the third one, either you go for Claudia or Rolfo. Elatun, I'm not so keen. And then your front 3, Jenny would be there, of course. Sam Kerr would be there, and then the third one, whether
Sam Kerr didn't have a good World Cup. Sorry, I'm limiting myself to the stuff I know.
She got injured.
She was injured.
I know, but she still then scored against England. She scored. Okay. She scored a penalty against
France. And she's done well at club level, so
club level, yeah, for sure. And then I think Pararuelo for not just the World Cup, but everything. And then your wild card could be like Alessia Russo or Alex Morgan. Let's say Alex Morgan.
Alex Morgan, so you can play a stupid 3-3-4 formation.
Exactly, something like that, you know.
Okay, no, but it's in keeping with these World 11 type teams. We mentioned Paris Saint-Germain. We mentioned Real Madrid. Yeah. You know what's coming, Jules.
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe is free to sign as a free agent with any club. And he talked about it after the Paris Saint-Germain
And
match.
I thought of you because I thought, well done. Gab will appreciate the fact that you come out and you talk about it. And he said, I haven't decided yet. I don't know yet what I'm going to do. And then we asked him, will it be as late as it was in 2022 when it was end of May? Mm-hmm. He said, well, it's because back then I didn't know until May what I was going to do. But if I know before, if I know earlier, why wait? There's no point. He also said something really interesting, and I think something that gives you a little hint that he is going to go, because he said that really his decision was not important, well, we all know that it is, because after the agreement that he found with PSG and Nasser Al-Khelaifi, the club is protected and the interest of the club will be preserved in case he leaves as a free agent, which means that if he leaves, the club won't be like left-handed in the sense that there will be no transfer fee, but because he's going to waive off the bonus that the club owes him, which is up to 80 million euros, it will feel almost like a transfer fee for PSG. And I think for him to say that and to almost, I don't think he's ever mentioned it. And so we've been briefed, but we've been told, but nobody really on record had talked about that point. Shows that for him to make sure that this is out there, this is confirmed, that he confirmed it, maybe shows that this is the idea and the plan.
So let's explain this for people who may have no idea what you're talking about. Correct me. Feel free to jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. When he decided to turn his back on Real Madrid the first time, he signed that 2+1 deal.
Yeah, that's right.
That +1 involved a bunch of money and loyalty bonuses that would have pumped up his compensation enormously. Effectively, he's saying, well, look, you won't have to pay these loyalty bonuses. The deal I reached in the summer when I said I wasn't going to extend it another year means that you won't have to pay the loyalty bonuses, right?
So at the end of each of those 3 seasons, potentially 2+1, there are bonuses that PSG, to bump up his salary even more, we're going to pay each year.
Which is going to give that money back for the 2 extra years you stayed?
No, so the first season is already paid, obviously.
Right.
For the second season, Kylian said to them, listen, don't pay me those bonuses if I leave on a free. Because he could have taken that money, because that is paid at the end of the season, and then go on a free to Real Madrid, for example.
And in the third season, obviously there won't be a third season, so they don't have to pay him his salary, and they don't have to pay him the bonus.
But that's
it's a bit fugazi here, I think.
Why?
To make it seem like, oh look, Paris Saint-Germain's protected.
Because right now they owe him 80 million euros. So he would have.
They chose to give him that salary.
Well, I
think they would rather he stayed and played than pay him the 80 million euros. Yeah.
Well, no, because if he stayed, they have to pay the 80 million euros.
Right, but I would assume that they would prefer that.
True, but he could also take the money and still leave on a free.
Of course.
So I think in a way you would feel maybe like, okay, we don't pay the 80, but he still goes. But it's one of those. Back to Madrid, Gabi as well. Carlo Ancelotti says the club won't be signing a new central defender in January, despite the season ending for David Alaba, and we're not really sure if Eden Militao can come back before the end of the season either. Does this make sense to you?
No, it makes zero sense.
So why?
I saw what he said. Why he came out and he said that, and he said, "Well, because we have them, and then we have
Chouameni and Carvajal." He mentioned.
We have Chouameni. We have
Rudiger and Nacho.
Rudiger and Nacho, and then we have Chouameni, who's hasn't played center back most of his career, but obviously can play there if need be, and Dani Carvajal, who also hasn't played center back most of his career. Nacho, by the way, turns 34 or 30, even 35 in March.
And he was suspended against Mallorca, so Chouameni played as centre back.
I mean, it makes no sense to me. I think, though, this is part of the reason why he got a new deal. Because if this were 99% of other managers, they'd be screaming for the treetops for another center back. Because, by the way, Rudiger is the type of guy who gets suspended, yeah? Nacho is suspended. You really going to tell me you're going to go and you're going to play with Chouameni and Carvajal? Really?
No, I know.
I don't know if he's doing some mind trick and then Florentino says, oh, look, just kidding. No, we decided we have an opportunity. We'll bring somebody in. This, to me, seems absolutely crazy.
And also, I'm sure you can bring someone for 6 months. Even Rafa Marin, you can bring him back from his loan. There's a lot of options.
We told you. Rafa Varane.
Yeah, Varane as well. There's a lot of things you could do.
One more Mbappe question for you, because I can't resist.
Yeah.
Christophe Dugarry, who is neither a Paris Saint-Germain fan nor Paris born and bred, I checked, he had some pretty mean things to say about Mbappe on RMC. He insists that Mbappe's stagnating, that he's lost his way, and that he hopes from the bottom of his heart that he leaves, which I guess makes sense because he's not a Paris Saint-Germain fan.
No, he's not. I mean, Dugarry is his own person, very much so. He's got really strong opinions on the radio with me a lot, and this is what he said. He's been saying this for a long time, and I don't think he wishes badly on Mbappe or Ligue 1 overall. I think he knows that it would be better for Ligue 1 to keep Mbappe in there, but I think he thinks more for the national team as well, for his best friend Zinedine Zidane, who at some point is going to take over, that maybe Kylian Mbappe will become better.
Is he right?
Yeah, probably after the Euros, I would think.
No, is he correct that it would be good for Mbappe to move on. For Mbappe personally and his development and for the French national
Yeah,
team.
I think as much as I would love him to stay,
I would tend to agree as well.
Yeah, I think it's always better, especially if you go to Real Madrid or to Liverpool.
How about another guy who was much hyped as a kid and then ran into issues? Hugo Ekitike, not Paris-born and bred. Maybe this is the problem.
Maybe.
He cost Paris Saint-Germain 35 million, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And yet has managed just 9 minutes this season for Luis Enrique, left out of the Champions League squad. Could he be rocking up at Wolfsburg soon?
It looks the most likely right now, Gab. They are in discussions, the two clubs. He obviously was dropped because he refused to go to Frankfurt at the end of last summer when Colomwani made his way from Frankfurt to Paris. Ekitike didn't want to go to Germany. He wanted to go to England, to West Ham or Crystal Palace or one of those.
But why Wolfsburg? Why did you determine to punish him by sending him to
But right now it's
the
only
guy
Wolfsburg.
does not want to go to Germany. Deal with it.
Right now it's only Wolfsburg, and right now he can't choose.
There's nobody else in the world who wants
right now,
Hugo Ekitike?
Right now, no. And Wolfsburg are 10th, I think, in the Bundesliga, so they're not too bad.
I'm sorry.
They're not great either.
Okay.
But it's to relaunch his career. 6-month loan with an option to buy. They pay most of his wages.
Okay, sorry. He's 21 years old.
Yeah.
He played a lot for Paris Saint-Germain last season. I know it's because there was no Colomwani, no Gonzalo Ramos.
Yeah.
But he played like 30-odd games, including the ones off the bench.
Not many starts, though, but yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not many. Okay, sorry, not many starts. They had. I mean, sorry. Reminder: their strikers last season were Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't expect them to have many starts. Right? He's still very, very young. Are you telling me that of all the clubs in the world, Wolfsburg is the only place that's interested? It's the only place that genius Luis Campos, with all his contacts.
Right now, I'm telling you that right now, the only club.
You don't think since he's got his buddies at Celta Vigo, you don't think they would take him on loan for 6 months?
I'm just saying to you, I don't know who would want to take him. I'm just saying to you right now, the only club who have contacted PSG and opened negotiations are Wolfsburg. I'm not saying that nobody else wants him.
There's no other club in the world.
Right now, it's only Wolfsburg. But maybe the others are going to come out. I don't know. But I'm just telling you.
I'm hoping that other clubs will listen.
Maybe. I'm just saying to you, this is the way.
I'm going to be straight up about this, right? There's a club down the street here. You might have heard of them. They're called Chelsea. They're founded in 1905. Their center forwards are Armando Broja, who's got massive issues, and I kept saying, oh, it's because he's coming off his injury. Now I'm starting to think maybe it's just him.
Yeah.
And the other guy's Nico Jackson.
Yeah.
You don't think this is the profile that might fit them? Try before you buy or whatever?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure it's the answer to Chelsea, but yeah, maybe.
No, whatever.
I'm with you. I'm just saying to you, only Wolfsburg right now are talking to PSG.
If you were Erik ten Hag, who would you rather have as your alternative to Rasmus Højlund? I know I always talked about a veteran striker. Anthony Martial on the Martial plan.
Martial, Paris born and bred all the time.
What?
Martial, Paris born and bred will always be my favorite.
Jules, I want to get into this, as I said, a little bit more. People, I always find it weird when people like describe how teams play, right? Because they say, oh, they always play the same way and they always have energy and they're always forward looking. Yeah, when teams win, they always look that way, regardless of how you play. Yeah. What seems pretty obvious here, though, is you have a team that tries to build from the back all the time, and as a result, sometimes expose itself. They leak a ton of goals, right?
Yeah, 26, I think, in 19 or 28 in 19, something like that.
You don't normally win the league in those situations, but if you outscore them, it doesn't matter. People have said, oh, it's a Cruyff thing. There's a Cruyff legacy there. Who knows, right? It's not like Cruyff's become like a byword for any kind of attacking football.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of pressing and counter-pressing. And in some ways, it's not dissimilar to a version of what we've seen Pep do. Yeah. And obviously he's evolved over the years. It's a version of what Klopp does, not so much in the build-up, but certainly in the counter-press, right? I'd argue it's not something we've seen very much in Spain from the top teams, in the sense that the old Barcelona of Guardiola, the first treble-winning one, they did that a little bit, but then they also had Messi. They could also slow the game to a crawl when they wanted to. They controlled. When they recovered, they didn't instantly try to attack and score the way this team does. So I would argue that's a little bit different. Mm. It's not something we've seen for Real Madrid. It's always been intermittent with Real Madrid. Yeah. Certainly not Atleti over the years. maybe Real Sociedad are the one team that have done that. I mean, among the top teams, right?
Yeah.
And Real Sociedad, maybe also because of what you said, it's very taxing physically to do that. And Real Sociedad don't have the biggest squad. Obviously, they're involved in Europe. Why is it, do you think, that this kind of trend or this approach, which has been frankly commonplace in Germany and in the Premier League with certain teams, certainly, why we haven't seen so much of that at the top end in Spain?
I think it's maybe a cultural reason, in the sense that this is not really the style is more the technical style, and the tempo is maybe a little bit slower. Even when you've got input from different managers who might have different ideas, I think you always go back to maybe the way they play, the kind of players that they form in academies, who are usually not the most physical and that can run forever, but instead are just the more technical and play the game that way. Maybe it's that. I just love the fact that some are trying to do it. Some, like La Real, are a bit of a mix of everything. So you've got that technical ability from the Spanish culture, but also the high intensity that you can implement to some players. There's no reason why Spanish players can't run. It's just not. This is not.
Rodri runs.
Yeah, right? For example, you're right. So yeah, I just love. But I think the fact that Mitchell, in a way, last season, especially in the first half of the season, where they had a decent season, we said it the other day, they finished 10th, they had 49 points, so just 1 point more than what they already have now, but were maybe more defensive, and evolved in the second half of last season, and then suddenly with the new signing in the summer, who have made a big impact, really. We can talk about his substitutions, because I think his coaching is really, really good, and we saw against Tuani and Porto having a really good impact on that game against Atletico Madrid, late in the game. But the starters, I mean, Savinho, Tsigankov, Dovbyk, all of that is really, really good addition to a squad that was already a decent squad, not a title-winning potential squad, but it was still a decent squad for La Liga.
Yeah, I think the reason we haven't seen it in Spain tactically, it was a typical thing where I asked your question because then later I wanted to give my explanation.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Is when you play that way and you screw up, right? So when you press and the other team plays through you and you can see the goal, you look really, really stupid. And I think especially for the top teams, I'm thinking specifically of Barcelona and Real Madrid, there's not that much of a tolerance for that when you're the manager. And there's not necessarily an imperative to do it, because you generally have far better players than almost anybody you'll play.
Yeah.
And so and I'm not saying these are defensive, I mean, Barcelona this isn't necessarily a defensive-minded team. I'm talking historically over the last 10 years, right? Or even Real Madrid, maybe a bit more so under Ancelotti. But it's more the fact that if you once you have the ball, you want to keep the ball, because you want more skillful players. So you're not going to go vertical, except maybe when you recover deep, and then you want to counter, you want to release Vinicius or whatever. That's what I find so interesting about Pep and his evolution at City. Maybe the more vertical side started at Bayern. They could keep the ball and have 80% possession because they have better players than almost anybody they face, right? But you choose to mix this in. And so sometimes you give up stupid goals, but that's okay. I do think, and I think it's more of an issue in Spain because, like you said, they probably produce more technically gifted players than anybody. I'm speaking broad, very, very broad generalizations, right?
Yeah.
But the emphasis is on technique. If you're technically gifted, you can play through the press. So there's no press that's so effective, right? Whereas here in England, in the Premier League, even though obviously the technical quality is very high, and we can debate maybe it's higher than in Spain, there is more of that mindset that you can attack that center back and force him into a mistake.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's more of a tolerance, I think, from the fans that they actually want to see that. And in Germany, certainly. Yeah. And in Germany, we've seen that for a long time. Do you think they can get over this leaking goals?
No, because I think this is the way they play. So I think you see the 3 goals they concede. They're 3 goals really that I know it's Atletico Madrid and Morata is in form of his life. But if you look at it, the flick from Griezmann for the first goal, 1, Griezmann should never win the header. And 2, the defensive line for Girona is so all over the place that Morata is just onside. the ball from the pole on the third goal. It's just, again, you can't be caught
What about
like
Eric
that.
Garcia on the second goal?
And I mean, this is even worse. You know how much I rate Eric Garcia. Yeah, I think they're fine with it because they will always create, and they ride their luck a little bit, as we saw against Barcelona too, when Barca had a lot of chances in that second half, could not really score, and then got done late in the game on transition. So I just love that team. I love watch them because they are so good to watch, so entertaining.